What's going on, Summoners? Welcome back to another ProGuides Wild Rift video. I'm Kangas, and today I'm covering how to counter the current meta in Wild Rift. This video will note specific champions that have been dominating in the Rift and discuss a counter pick to successfully play against each champion. But before we jump right into things, we got a question of the day. Which champion do you believe would make for the greatest superhero? Now, I'm talking traditional heroics like Superman and Captain America. Personally, I think Braum would be the best because he's basically Captain America already, but his shield's way more impressive. But let me know yours in the comments below, and let's get into the video. So our first meta pick for the day is Evelynn. Now I'm sure that you all know how busted she can be, as her constant invisibility makes her an absolute menace to deal with, allowing her to surprise pretty much anybody. Thanks to her first ability Hate Spikes and ultimate Last Caress, her burst damage is enough to pop any squishy champions, making her incredibly infuriating to fight against. Yeah, she got nerfed a couple of patches ago, so she's not as overpowered, but she's definitely still seen a lot of play. Her base mechanics by themselves are broken by nature, and therefore warrant the pick. So today we got a fantastic counter pick to help you destroy Evelynn in your games. Camille Jungle is Evelynn's worst nightmare. The pick has been emerging more and more thanks to her insane mobility and outstanding trade potential. Hookshot allows Camille to traverse through terrain, popping out of unexpected areas and applying CC to the target on hit. Evelynn's weak point is in the early game, where she has minimal damage to trade efficiently. Camille, on the other hand, excels in early 1v1 scenarios. If a full health Camille fights a full health Evelynn, Camille should always win. Hookshot grants her way more mobility than Evelynn, giving her the option to both escape and engage depending on the scenario. Evelynn relies on keeping her distance and then spamming Hate Spikes, but since Camille can easily close that gap and apply crowd control, Evelynn is left unable to perform her desired functions. In addition, Camille's ultimate directly counters Evelynn's. Last Caress is typically used as an escape to distance Evelynn away from her threats, but if Camille drops down her Hextech ultimatum, the poor AP jungler is trapped within the walls, unable to escape and therefore unable to wreak havoc on the rest of the map. But now I'm sure you're wondering, how do you counter Camille Jungle? Well, our best pick to counter the Bladed Warrior is to play Riven Jungle. This may sound almost troll, but Riven Jungle is actually really strong in Wild Rift. Her first ability, Broken Wings, allows her to deal fantastic damage to jungle camps. Simply auto-attack after each cast to take full advantage of Riven's passive, Runic Blade, maximizing damage output on the monsters. Comboing auto-attacks allows her jungle clear speed to be surprisingly fast, fully capable of handling herself in the role. Since she's got a bunch of dashes, an area of effect stun, and a damage increasing ultimate with a ranged cast, Riven ganks are rather effective since she can actually chase down her enemies and apply crowd control and deal lots of damage. So how does Riven exactly counter Camille? Well, let's start off with jungle clears. Camille excels at ganking, but her clears are kinda slow. Riven's clear speed is pretty good. Not the best, but definitely better than Camille's. This means that in regards to farming, Riven is fully capable of scaling better into the game. In regards to ganks, Camille's are a tad bit stronger, but Riven more than makes up for that by having a strong 1v1 matchup against Camille. Camille's abilities are fantastic at closing in the gap and dealing burst damage, but in regards to consistent damage output through an extended fight, she begins to fall off. She plays well against Evelynn, since Evelynn's very squishy, but when matched up against Riven, it's a whole nother story. Riven's consistent damage output, thanks to her passive and numerous casts of Broken Wings, is exceptional. In terms of cooldown on core abilities, Riven's definitely superior to Camille. Therefore, when it comes to an extended fight, Riven wins the matchup when properly initiated. When engaging Camille as Riven, be extremely wary of Camille's shield from her passive. If possible, try to bait out Camille's shield and stall it out before re-engaging. In the middle of a fight, if Camille's running at you with her shield, just run back a bit, wait for the shield to run out, and then re-engage. After all, you want to make sure that your damage sticks. In addition, unlike Evelynn, Riven isn't that afraid of being locked inside of Camille's Hextech ultimatum. She's got plenty of dashes, shields, and damage to maneuver effectively around the temporary cage. But keep in mind, Riven is definitely mechanically challenging, and on paper, although she does counter Camille, this doesn't mean recklessly charging will yield victory. Always keep an eye on your cooldowns, try to maximize your damage output, and track Camille's ability usage to further capitalize on her mistakes. But if you're in need of more tips or maybe just struggling in the jungle, make sure to check out the Ultimate Challenger Jungle Guide. This video will absolutely help you learn the ins and outs of the role, giving you extra knowledge to utilize in your games. And also make sure you join the ProGuides community Discord. We got mains for every single role in there, so if you got questions about how to jungle, just chat with somebody from the community and they'll be able to help you out too. Now back to the main content, Diana has become a menace in the mid lane, capable of 1v9ing the entire game with her absurd burst damage and area of effect ultimate. She received some small nerfs in patch 2.3, but still remains extremely powerful, dashing around the map, destroying everyone in her path. So, how do you play against her and what champion should you use? Well, we recommend playing a new one, Aurelia, when matched up against Diana. The Dancing Blade Master has many useful skills in her kit: a dash, stun, damage mitigation, and an area of effect ultimate. A useful tip when playing Aurelia is to be smart with the usage of your stun, instead of simply throwing it out. For example, you can hide the first blade in a bush while hiding in the fog of war, dash to a low health minion, and then throw out the second one to completely surprise the enemy. Learning her kit is going to be a task in and of itself, and since she's new, we highly recommend that you take some time outside of ranked to try her out. Learn her combos and simply get used to Aurelia's entire kit. Do not be that gamer that first times Aurelia in ranked only to completely feed and throw the game. Now, when playing as Aurelia against Diana, in lane be sure to keep track of your passive stacks. Ionian Fervor grants stats per spell used on enemy units, capping at 4 total stacks. This grants Aurelia bonus damage on hit and bonus attack speed, essential stats to winning a 1v1 trade against Diana. So whenever possible, do your best to stack the passive, whether it's through hitting a minion or landing every ability on Diana. The Scorn of the Moon relies heavily on burst damage, mostly through the use of a quick combo. If you know she's about to engage, have your second ability, Defiant Dance, ready to mitigate a large chunk of that damage, and then make sure to hit Diana with the tip of the ability's cast. Doing so grants an extra stack necessary to increase the damage output thereafter. Since Diana relies on diving using her dash, abuse the telegraphed move by preparing your stun. Simply place your Flawless Duet down as Diana dashes in and you'll get a free stun, granting an additional stack on your passive. At this point, you should have at least 2 stacks, one from hitting Defiant Dance and another from landing the stun. If you're not confident hitting the stun, throw out Vanguard's Edge first to slow Diana, making the stun even easier to land. If these initial steps have been properly executed, the rest of the fight should be easy peasy. When trading, be sure to throw in auto attacks between Blade Surge to maximize damage and whittle away Diana's health bar. Even if she doesn't die, if you come out at least even during the trade, the laning phase shifts drastically in your favor. Aurelia has much more sustain than Diana through the healing from Blade Surge and itemization from building Blade of the Ruin King. Simply out sustain and zone Diana out from farming the wave, and then take control of the mid lane. Now, a support that's been kind of overwhelming to deal with is Braum. Now, I hate to complain about that, but it's gotta be said. His massive whopping shield blocks out a big portion of the enemy's damage, allowing for his team to breathe and make massive plays thereafter. His passive Concussive Blows marks the target, 4 auto attacks from any ally will then proc a stun, allowing for game-changing plays. Throw out his groundbreaking ultimate to knock up enemies and slow them a little bit after, and you start to wonder how to counter such an impressive kit. Well, Braum's kit may be phenomenally strong during team fights, but his laning pressure is very easily abusable. A champion such as Nami is perfectly capable of poking him out of lane. Nami's second ability, Ebb and Flow, excels at harassing Braum. Ebb and Flow will heal an ally and then jump to a nearby enemy to deal damage. By using the ability on herself, even if Braum decides to block with a shield, she definitely still gets her mana's worth. If the Muscle Man decides to engage, throw out a bubble and knock him up and then simply walk away. Unless he gets a full stun off, you're probably not gonna die. During lane, the strongest asset Braum provides is his shield, blocking damage for his AD carry. Most Braum players are trigger happy with the ability since it's pretty much all that they can do during lane, so just walk up menacingly and act as if you're about to deal some heavy damage. Chances are Braum will throw out his shield, and then just wait for the shield to drop, and then use your abilities to harass both him and the AD carry. It's really not that hard to beat Braum with an Enchanter support in lane, so as long as you don't get jumped on or throw every one of your skills into a shield, you should win this matchup. Now, of course, during teamfights, Braum will probably still be a utility providing monster. There's not much you can do about that. Just try to decrease his impact early on by stomping him in lane. Now, I'm sure that lots of you guys know this, but Garen is extremely powerful at the moment. He's absurdly tanky, deals immense damage, and is quite simply a very scary champion to play against. To counter him, we recommend taking an even more broken champion, Fiora. Fiora is a fantastic counter to the Juggernaut, but it's definitely not the kind of matchup where the champion naturally plays itself. To effectively counter Garen with Fiora, you need to know exactly how to play the matchup, rather than just relying on broken stats. Garen's first ability, Demacian Strike, silences the target hit while dealing massive damage. When he casts the ability, his sword glows with a yellow light. When playing Fiora, keep a close eye on this and prepare your riposte to counter the ability. Doing so mitigates lots of Garen's damage while also denying the silence. Follow up thereafter by lunging forward, focusing on his vital points, and just slice away his health bar. As long as you strike the spots effectively while throwing out sufficient combos, you should be able to outsustain Garen, especially when taking Grasp of the Undying alongside Second Wind. The matchup will become a war of attrition, so keep track of those quick trades and inch your way towards an HP lead over Garen. But fair warning, do not walk up to Garen if you missed your riposte. You need to counter the silence to guarantee a winning trade. If he uses his silence effectively, Fiora kinda becomes a sitting duck. Also, if you're below 50% health on Fiora, just go back home. Garen's execution damage is way too strong, and you counter him only if you manage to sustain better than he does in lane. So now the next time you're playing against any of the busted meta champs, try out some of these picks. Just make sure that you've practiced them beforehand if you're playing in a ranked game, because you do not want to be that gamer that first time's a champ in ranked. But anyways, if you're enjoying the content, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for everything Wild Rift in the future. It's gonna be it for today, so best of luck on the Rift, stay hydrated, and I'll see you in the next one.